Once, a teacher was teaching a science class to the little children. In that science class, the teacher was talking about the will. And she said, the will never eat the human. And then, kind of a sudden, a little girl raised her hand. Teacher, are you sure? In the Bible, the will swallow the Jonah. And the God's words is true, my mom said. Well, and the teacher continued to argue. No, the will never swallow the human. Well, the little girl replied, I will find it out when I get in heaven. And then the teacher, smiling, and then asked, how about Jonah go to hell? And then the little girl, teacher, would you mind doing me a favor and asking him whether, the will swallow or not? This is a great little story, and I'm very fond of it. Because of the knowledge of this world, and then the faith that we have in the Bible sometimes contradict one another. First reading, second reading, the gospel today, all of these readings are pointing out to deepen our faith. However, it is very hard for us. I would like to point out what has been going on around the world, the dark side of the world. You know, the civil war is going on in my country, almost 2 years. And also the Russo-Ukrainian war has been going on. There are quite a lot of countries suffering from terrorist insurgency, and Mexico and also Colombia, they are also suffering from drug war, and in other countries, ethnic violence and political unrest. And also, very recently, the natural disaster called Ian, Hurricane level 4, hit Florida very badly. And according to the research, the casualty is pretty big, $40 billion. And also, 37 people were killed because of the hurricane. And the buildings were destroyed, and electricity were cut out. If we look around the world, there are quite a lot of bad things have been going on. We will definitely have complaints. We will definitely have questions. God, why do you let us see these ruins? Why must we look at the misery? Today, we heard the reading from Prophet Habakkuk. He is one of the minor prophets. Last week, we heard Prophet Amos. Prophet Habakkuk, he complained, God, why do you let me see the ruin of the Israel? Why must I look at the misery of your people? The Babylonian Empire seized Israel. This is the fall of the southern kingdom of the Israel. And this Babylonian Empire, they are worse than our people. Why you use them? Why you let them destroy the temples? Why you let them make the people slaves? This is the questions, the complaints the prophet Habakkuk had. The same situation that we are having. And God gave the response. The response is very clear. If we look back, God's response, the just one, because of his faith, shall live. This is the only response God gave to Habakkuk to write down on the table to pass that message to the faithful people. And these things happen because of the good people were silent. And also because the bad people were ignorant about the consequences of their bad actions. Prophet Amos reminded them, but they ignored them. And also the good people also, they were silent. However, God wanted us to be steadfast in our faith. If we look at the second reading, St. Paul mentioned, we have to gird our faith because this world is in chaos and the temptations are full. If we don't gird our faith, we will also face the ruin. Another thing is, he really wants us to grab the true faith. If we have the faith, we will flourish love. We will flourish power. We will flourish self-control to live in this world. And another point that he made is, good people, faithful people, do not be ashamed of your testimony to our Lord. Which means the good people need to speak out. The good people need to stand outside, step forward to defend who are vulnerable. We cannot let the bad things going on. It is our generation to stop the bad things going on. And it is very important to have faith. In the Bible, if we recall what happened to Elijah and the widow with the children, the brook dried up, and also the crow not dropping the bread anymore. And Elijah heard the voice of God to go to the widow who had the children. Elijah, with faith, he went to the widow. And when he arrived, the widow didn't have not much left food, even for her family. However, Elijah mentioned, go make some bread for me and for your children. Don't worry about what you have. Just believe. And that lady, having faith and listening to the word of Elijah, he went and made the bread. And then God multiplied what they had. Another great event, miracle from the Bible during the time of Jesus. Jesus was preaching in the crowd. And then there was a lady who was suffering from bleeding for 12 years. showing to many physicians and wasn't really helpful. And during the time, those people were treated as sinners. However, this woman who's suffering from bleeding, hearing the miracle of Jesus, how Jesus healed the lame, how he raised the dead, and having the faith and believing in Jesus, she very courageously, went through the crowd and tried to touch Jesus. Right away, Jesus realized the power, gone. And then he turned, "Who touched me?" And the woman courageously stand out. "I'm the one who touched you. I suffer from hemorrhage for 12 years. And because of her faith, because of her courage, because of her, belief, and she was healed, suffering for 12 years. Therefore, although we are in the time of difficulties, hardship, lack of faith, and all the chaos going on, we have to be steadfast in our faith. As St. Paul mentioned, if we have faith, the power will come upon us. And also self-control to live in this world. And also we will have the courage and strength not to be ashamed of the testimony of our Lord.